All right. I'm excited for this new year. I don't know about you guys, but we are obviously in a health and wellness business. So the new year is like our season. But this feels a little bit different than just, like new year, new me, new year, new health, new year, good business goals. I'm going to talk to you something personally that I, almost 7 years in, still struggle with. And I can tell you all these things, but I'm going to tell you 30 minutes ago, I was still racking my brain like, what am I going to say? What am I going to say? And it's so crazy how like God lines things up because I'd actually picked this topic like at the end of last week, like when we got our dates on like who's going to be leading what calls in this month or whatever. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to talk about this because it really hones in. And then last night we got on a vision call for the new year. If you haven't watched it yet, Jill sent the link. Watch it. OMG, it's great. I still want to go back and watch the replay. I show my husband like the screenshots, reflection questions, like all this stuff. I was like, we got to answer these because I want him to answer together, like both personal and I want to talk to him about my business stuff. But it was so good. But the majority of it was mindset. It was all about mindset. And so that's kind of where this focus is coming on today. We're not talking about new year, new me. We're not doing some massive goal setting. We're not going to map out, the next quarter of our business. We're going to get down to the nitty gritty of new year, new mindset, fresh mindset, mindset revamp, mindset upgrade, next level up, whatever it may be, because I think it's probably safe to say that whether you just started last week or you started 8, 9 years ago, there are still days where you struggle with your mindset. You still struggle with your thoughts. You still struggle with your beliefs. And then that's going to affect your actions. And so a lot of times when we start this new year, right, we're like January 1. And this is also an exciting time. They mentioned this yesterday on the like New Year call with Genevieve and like Matthew Aaron and stuff on one of the corporate pages. So I'm not spoiling anything, but they said at Super Saturday, they're going to announce convention contests because that's coming up and all of that. So like, this is just a fun time of our business, a fun time of the year. There's a lot to go for. There's a lot of number crunching, a lot of stuff, a lot of ranks. Like me personally, I ranked gold during March. So like this is time of year, like revamp that. And then I hit Ruby in March, like in, not the same March, multiple years apart. But like this time of year brings this like excitement and movement and number crunching and contests and goals and incentives and all that fun stuff. So it's really easy on January 1 to hit the ground running with the numbers. It's really easy to say, okay, where do I want my points to be? And it's really easy to goal set and look at what rank do I want to be? But sometimes that's it's so important to have that vision. Lord, it's so important to have that vision. But I am proof that I can easily say, write out, circle a date on my calendar and say, I'm going to be this rank, excuse me, by this month. I'm going to have this many points by this month. Even if I strategize and I do the math and I lay it out like, okay, that means I have to, like, I can do that all day. I can do that for anybody. So if you ever want that, like, you just call on me and I will calculate and do and whatnot. But for some reason, for me, and I'm hoping for you too, that this hits home, something else feels different. And a lot of 2022 for myself was true development. I started reading, being in the personal development world almost right off the bat from when I started. I'm so thankful that our team values that and shares things. I read, books that like, I probably should go back and reread at this point, but like GoPro, that was a big like network marketing one that doesn't get talked about as much, but I read that. There were just lots of things, but things set down, like they just hit differently this past year. So I'm going to share a little bit about that. and how we can continue that in 2023. And hopefully what I can share can impact you to where things just hit differently. Your belief hits differently. Your mindset is different. And then it affects your action. Is every day perfect? No. Is every month perfect? No. Is every year perfect? No. Because the mindset that I started out with in January is different than the mindset I finished in December. God, Lord knows it. Totally different. Totally different. I was going to get a water and then put my lid back on. Hang on. So it's easy to start off the year with like, these are my goals. This is the rank I want to be. You know, like if I had talked to Jill and Jill's like, okay, what do you want to do this month? I could easily say, oh, I want to grow my business by so many points. But the hard part is the thinking and the believing it. The real work doesn't come with the recruiting. It doesn't come with the posting. It doesn't, that's what we outwardly do, right? That's what we can see, right? We see the action of posting, the action of talking to people, the action of getting on a team call and all of that. But the true action has to come in our belief and our thinking. That's the first action. That has to happen internally. Everything in Plexus, we say it over and over and over again, and I still have to remind myself again. This is 80% mindset, 20% skill set. So if you are ever thinking like, I can't post like that, I can't, I don't recruit like that, whatever, that's 20%. Knowing those skills of what to do, that's only 20% of this whole thing. 80% is about what you think about yourself, what you envision for your life, what you feel like you're worth, what you're capable of, and that discipline behind it. That's all a part of your mindset. So our thoughts are everything. It determines our action. And the results that we get from that action is always a version of what we are thinking. So I'm going to say that again. Your thoughts create your action. And the results that you get from doing that action is a direct reflection of what you were thinking. Okay. So it comes back to your mind. So if I'm already thinking, December, I'm just going to go back to December. December is a hard month because, the holidays are there and like, I'm, X, Y, and Z or whatever. Okay. But then I'm going to put in the action and I'm going to try to message and make sure I'm talking to people and I'm going to follow up and, oh man, our Black Friday or not Black Friday, whatever was announced, like mid-month, like the reset box, I'm going to hit it really hard. I'm going to do the action. My results are still going to reflect how I'm thinking. Okay. I could message all day long, but honestly, if I don't have that belief, that conviction, that mindset of this will happen, I know it, I believe it, I'm saying it, I'm claiming it, because I'll tell you, I wasn't claiming it in December. I wasn't claiming it. I was wanting it, but then there was like 20% of my brain was like, nah, I don't think this is the month for me, and it affected how my month ended up. Multiple months, you guys. And I sound like I'm not preaching to you guys. I'm turning this back to myself. Multiple months, there was a roadblock of something standing in the way, which I'm still like peeling back layers to truly figure out, because I'll tell you what, I see myself as a diamond. I didn't know that this was a vision board for myself, but I see myself speaking on a stage somewhere. I feel that deep down, that capability, but I also have a bajillion roadblocks to be like, I don't know how I'm going to get there or when. And that is belief. So I'm like 50% belief. That makes sense. So somewhere along the way, I've got to get to 100% belief. So we have to get out of our own way somehow. We have to transform like a little butterfly. That's what we're going to do this spring. We're going to become like out of our little winter cocoons and become butterflies. We have to transform into a completely different person of ourselves. And that's easier said than done, right? I get that. Easier said than done. But the question has to go from like, what do I want to do? And where do I want to be? Because that's, like I said at the beginning, that's always kind of the big question. You're like, oh, I'm going to commit to IPAs. I'm going to get this amount of points. I'm going to make sure that I message 10 people a day. We can figure out what we want to do and where we want to be. But the real question has to become, who do I need to become? That has to be the question. How can I transform myself, my thinking, my belief, my mindset to get me to that point? And we're all on this journey together, y'all. I'm on that journey too. So I'm not the end all be all. Where did I find that next page? Next page. Okay. So some things that we have to focus on. We have to learn how to become disciplined. And I'm not saying disciplined as in daily IPA. Your daily IPA part is, we're all talking about mindset here, okay? You have to learn how to become disciplined in your thoughts. You have to learn how to talk to yourself. And you may not struggle with that. I don't think I struggle with that. I think I struggle sometimes with being in my mind too confident. And I don't say that out loud very often, but I can be self-righteous at times. So I'm thinking like, well, I don't struggle with how I talk to myself, but I'm struggling how I talk to myself in regards to how I'm a mom. I struggle with how I talk to myself, how I am in my business. Well, I'm obviously, I must be overthinking my leadership capabilities because I don't have anybody knocking at my door to work the business. I must not be as influencing as I thought because no one's interested to ask me about Plexus. I must not be, having that great of a testimony, whatever. So like things like that, how you're talking to yourself, what you're feeling, what you're saying. And also transforming to, like I said, you got to learn how to be your most successful self. And I'm not saying like you have to fake it, but you have to be so clear on who you want to become that you are already teaching yourself step by step by step how to be your most successful self in your brain. So I'm hoping this makes sense because I'm kind of just like piecing all my thoughts together and just like pouring it all on you. And things are just rolling off the tongue, right? So some things that personal development can help with. Okay, so we're shifting. How can you improve your mindset and become a better version of yourself, the most successful version of yourself, disciplined, loving yourself, confident, knowing you are worthy, knowing you are deserving, knowing you are capable? How do we become that type of person? Okay, it really does start with personal growth and personal development. Now, that is a large umbrella term that I kind of don't like saying because it's like, okay, great. Well, what is that? It's kind of like saying somebody say, oh, well, go work on your mindset. Well, what does that mean? Like it's such a broad term. It's like, well, where do I start? What does that mean? Same thing with personal development. So some questions that you have to ask yourself, and you may not be able to answer them today. And in every season, you might be needing to answer these questions again. Like I said, I'm going to share an aha moment with you in a minute, but it's like my 7-year sign up anniversary, whatever, is like next week. 7 years. That's wild to me. And I'm still having to transform and answer these types of questions for myself. Like you would think like, oh, I got it. But it is a constant work. It is a constant work. Okay. And I don't know about you guys, but that's a work that I'm willing to do if I know where I'm going. And I know where I'm going. So I got to do the other work to be able to get there. You know what I mean? So here's some questions to reflect on every day, every month, whatever it may be. And this is going to be changing all the time, depending on your season. What is holding you back? You've got to like peel back those layers, right? What's holding you back? How can you overcome this? How are you going to grow through this? So, perfect example today. And some of you may not follow me on social media. Some of you may, and you may have already watched this or seen this. So I'm sorry if it's repetitive, but this morning I went on a walk and I'm trying to listen to want to listen to a podcast while I'm on the walk. And I had already listened to all the episodes of another podcast that's newer, Brittany Howard's podcast. So I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to turn like what's familiar. And I love listening to like Christian speakers. That's mainly the podcast that I follow. It's just Christian authors or speakers or people who are, in that realm. And this was actually Jenny Allen. And she was actually talking about like, does God care about our bodies? Like, does he care about our health and stuff like this? And the whole podcast was basically talking about how taking care of your health is not a bad thing in God's eyes. And, that's something that I know. Like, I know my mission behind talking about Plexus is so that I can help other people feel well and be well so that they can have a better quality of life, show up better, serve others, be a light, go out there and do the work of Christ, right? Of what we're called to do. You can't do that if you don't feel well. And this podcast was so affirming of that. But one of the things that like struck me is when I'm listening to this, she was talking about how we have this thought of, and this is just an example, this thought that health, taking care of our health and making that a focus, whatever it may be, losing weight, getting energy, going to the doctor, getting blood tests, whatever, that it is worldly and selfish. Because, and when she said that, I was like, that makes 1,000% sense. Because I realized in that moment, it's like you have to hear it sometimes from somebody else. I realized in that moment where I was like, that I think has been a roadblock for me over the last few months, where I'm thinking, what's the point? In my mind, not that I don't believe in Plexus, not that I don't believe in these products. Like I said, not that I don't see myself one day being on the trips and the things and have such like a huge why that brings me to tears for my family, like things like that, not that I don't have that, but there was still this mindset block that was like, what is the point? Because I was thinking, and I didn't realize it, but I was telling myself things like, our bodies are earthly. It's not going to matter when we get to heaven. Who cares what we look like now? Who cares how, like none of that matters when we get there. That doesn't determine if we're going to heaven or not. You know what I mean? Like all these things, I'm like, we get new bodies. We have new creation when that day comes. So like, why am I so fixated on trying to be thin? Why am I promoting reset before and afters? Why am I, like, I mean, I was going down this whole rabbit trail. Like, why am I approaching people about this when like they haven't come to me? Who knows? They don't need this, or something. I was, without knowing, telling myself these things. And if you could see my back office points or my reports or my own personal recruiting, now you know. Now you probably know, because those thoughts, even with the action of talking to people, even with trying my best to like share and tell people, like, you need these products, they're so great, you want to get more information on the reset, of course, with classier verbiage. Like there was still something that was keeping me from getting results. And it links all the way back to my mindset. Again, don't doubt my belief or that my feet aren't firmly planted where they are, because they are. But I was struggling without even knowing the fact of like I'm going to say this word wrong, the genuineness about sharing. You know what I mean? And that all comes back to reflection on my mindset. And it's crazy that I listened to that podcast this morning and I had a boom, like, holy crap, I have felt that. But I also got validation of like, oh, no, like this is my mission. Like my mission is to help people because God cares about our bodies. He wants us to be well. He wants us to be examples for our families. He wants us to be able to get up out of the bed. He wants us to live with energy. He wants us to be a light when we go out in the community. He wants us to be able to be the best version of ourselves so that we can further his mission and his kingdom and his gospel. Okay, I'm not taking you out of church or anything, but like that is like, it hit me. I was like, holy moly, that is it. That is it. And I even just today had like a layer peeled back my mindset and I was like, okay, I'm doing it. Me sharing before and afters, it is not in vain. It is not shallow. It is not like, those are things that I had to conquer today. So that's just an example of like what a podcast can do, but like personal development, you're constantly going to be peeling back layers on your mindset. I'm sure I'll have a coaching call with Jill and she'll ask me a question and I'll be like, I don't know the answer to that, or like be kind of quiet, like think about it, or like smile, or like, I don't know, maybe say what she wants me to say. I don't know, because I don't have an answer to everything, but I feel like I've had in the last few days be like, Lee, you can bust it all day long you want to with messaging and knowing the ins and outs of the back office and crunching all the numbers to get you to Emerald. But sister, if you don't believe it truly, deeply, not just writing it down on a piece of paper, not just like circling July 31st on my calendar because that's the qualification date to become Emerald by to go to Hawaii as an Emerald. But if I like truly, if I see and believe and think about that person that I am becoming in this journey, truly, and y'all, I'm not even like done with this journey. I'm nowhere near who I was 7 years ago. Several of you know, can attest to that fact, and you feel it as well. You are nowhere close to who you were 7 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 months ago, whatever. But like, you have to have that unwavering belief, that true mindset, and it takes work. So here are some last little tips to leave you if you're like, okay, well, where do I start? Like, you took me to church, but like, now what? Okay. These are simple things. And some of these you don't necessarily may not have access to, but some of them you do. They're free. Listen to successful people. Listen to successful people, truly successful people. Now, you never know behind the scenes what their points are, what this, that, and the other, whatever. But I love listening to people who have sat for a long time at a rank and overcome it, because that is my journey. Every day, every year, that is my story. I love the people who can rank up fast, and I'm blown away by like, oh God, what's she doing? What's she doing? What's she doing? Oh my goodness, how's she posting? But like, my eyes need to be on the people who stayed the course, who stayed steady, who did the hard work, not just messaging and recruiting and retaining and getting people to rank up and all that stuff, but like the mindset journey. Like that's who I like listening to. Reading books. I'm not a lover of reading, but I have become a lover of reading because I know the value of it. I know how important it is. And Plexus Book Club, like corporate book club, always offers books that you can join in with. And we offer books. Our book club happens every Thursday night. We're kicking it off this Thursday night with a new book. Jill's going to start it off and tell us all about the book. You don't have to rush and get something, but make that a priority. Make that a priority to always be a learner. Because even if the book doesn't excite me when I'm starting to pick it up, there's at least one sentence in there that I highlight and I harp on like the whole time. And I'm like, that's the summary I needed to hear from that book. There's always something to learn from it, and something will always grow your mind. Along with reading books, you can listen to them, but also podcasts, same kind of thing. Find the successful people and relatable people, maybe people who are within the same journey as you, that you respect. Of course, you listen to whatever podcast you want, but I'm not listening to like Hollywood gossip podcasts. I'm listening majority of like 99.9% of the time, business professionals or Christian people. I don't know what word I'm looking for. Christian mothers, Christian speakers, whoever, like the people, those kind of things. And podcasts or YouTube videos, whatever. Counseling. If you have access to counseling, do it. I've personally never done counseling, but I know that if I went to a counselor or saw a therapist, I'd probably be a new person tomorrow. Let me just I know I have things deep down that, are they affecting my daily life? No, necessarily, not necessarily. Do I have this trauma baggage? No, but I got, like I said, layers to peel back to figure out what is keeping me from being successful now. You know what I mean? So things like that. There's so much at our fingertips. What's crazy to me, I wrote this down. There's so much at our fingertips, majority of it free. But I feel like we are in a time where self-doubt is at its largest, where the comparison game is sucking the life out of us, where we don't believe in ourselves. I don't know why, because we have a plethora of stuff. And if you don't even want to engage in any of that stuff, Find a Bible. Open the Bible. Pray before you open it for God to show you something that will help you be better for him. And I guarantee you there's going to be something in there that will probably help you. Okay. So one last thing to think about. And I actually heard this on another training video that kind of was about like discipline. But going to that part of having to become a different person, a different the best version of you, that successful person, like I talked about at the beginning. Let me see what I was saying. Like, it's not about what you are, what you need to do or where you want to be. It's about who do you have to become along the way. The cost, here's this quote, the cost of your new life is your old life. The cost of your new life is your old life. So there will be sacrifices along the way. There will be changes along the way. There may be relationships not as strong along the way, but, and this goes, maybe, I don't know, this is just what I'm going to say. If people can't love me when I am at my best, then they aren't meant to be in my circle. Even if they are blood or my best friend since 2. If you can't stand beside me as I am becoming my best self, as I am finding my way, then like, sorry about you. That's the cost of your old life. So are you willing to leave habits behind? Are you willing to leave lies behind? Are you willing to leave that mindset behind that is just like slowly killing your belief? Are you ready to move forward in 2023? Because I am very much ready. I have no idea. No, I can tell you when I would like to rank up. I could tell you what I'd like my points to be. I could tell you all day when I'd like to hit Emerald, but I cannot get there unless every day I do the work of affirmations, of prayer, of gratitude, of personal development, and learning every day. I feel like, and this may be not the best thing to end on, but I feel like I could put my head, like my mindset has changed. I used to say, if I like messaged somebody that day, I could put my head down and feel like I did a good job with Plexus, like as long as I messaged like 5 people a day, or I talked to somebody, I could lay my head down and feel like I worked my business. Now I feel like if I lay my head down at night, I better have been nice to myself. I better have believed in myself, because I'll tell you, if I am nice to myself and I believe in myself, I'm going to do the action. I'm going to do it because I have that deep down. So hope all that made sense. I hope that maybe motivated you a little bit. I honestly was nervous to get on here and talk to you guys because I struggle with that too. And I am right there in the trenches with many of you. But it's only up from here. I'm so excited about this season. So excited about this season. And it's a shift. It's a shift from what's my next rank, what points do I want to be, how many silvers, to not selfishly focusing on yourself, but you have kind of like that health example earlier. You have to value your own mindset and belief and know your worth, believe in your capabilities, and know that you are deserving to be able to help other people do the same. If I can't believe it, how am I going to pour belief into others? So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. We have our messenger event. Sorry, I ran a minute long. I'm going to read the chat, but if you have any questions or comments or anything, just let me know. Love you guys.